Alright, so this is part 2 of the Prodigy Composer training. We've already gone through the software and named our system, created the rooms, selected the receiver device, the display device, and the display options. Now we're here on the sources screen. So I'm going to add the sources that I'm going to have in my system. And I'm going to have a satellite receiver, a DVD player, and an iPod dock. So to start off with, I'm going to add, I'm going to stick with the Crestron database here because I don't need to create IR drivers for the purposes of this program. So I'm going to go into manufacturer. I'm going to hit D to skip to the D's, and I'm going to go find DirecTV. And I have a DirecTV HR21 DVR, so I'm going to select that IR driver file, and I'm going to click Add to the System. Okay, it takes a moment, it adds it to the system. Now I have a couple of things that I need to do here. First, I'm going to go into, for the DirecTV receiver, I need to set up the dynamic presets. So I'm going to go Properties, and under Properties I have some basic information, general I/O assignment, which IR port it's running to on the back of the processor, and extenders. Now here I have one option, my dynamic presets extender, which is already checked. But I want to configure that. So I'm going to select Configure. Now the presets extender is what allows you to do the favorites channels. So under preset collection I have reset, configure, and save as. By default I'm going to go ahead and hit reset. Okay, just to clear out any stuff I may have loaded from the last program I have. Now under behavior it gives you pulse for each digit, 1/10 of a second is fine, delay time between digits, 1/4 of a second is fine, max number of digits. Now I'm doing DirecTV receiver, and they only need 3 digits. They don't have any channel numbers that are larger than 3 digits, so I can go ahead and reduce that number. Now the preset hold edit time is 3 seconds. Okay, that means if the customer wants to save a new preset into a slot, they would press and hold that slot for 3 seconds before it would take them to the screen that allows them to choose which preset they want to, which channel they want to assign to that preset. Okay. Pretty much all this is standard, and you're not going to need to change it much. You can go to commands and just make sure that under that IR module, the DirecTV IR module, that all the commands have been assigned appropriately. If they weren't, then I could go in and select all the commands available under that DirecTV IR module and assign them to their appropriate slots. That's done, so I'm going to click OK. Now I'm going to configure my preset image library. Now as you can see here, there are some default options for different libraries. I've got Comcast, DirecTV, Dish Network, so on and so forth. Well, we're on DirecTV, so I'm going to select DirecTV and click OK. Now it's building the library. Okay. Now here I can see all of the channels that are in the DirecTV library. I can see the channel number that's assigned. I can see the channel icon that's assigned to that. Okay. Now we're not going to go into all the details of changing out the icons or that sort of thing, but we are going to touch on the channel numbers. Now if you notice, ABC is assigned channel 0. Well, ABC is a local channel and would be dependent on the particular market that we're programming for. I'm in Dallas, so on Dallas the channel would be channel 8. So I just type in channel 8, and I could go through and find all my local channels. CBS, which is channel 11. Okay. Now, assuming I had done that for all my DirecTV, all my local stations, then I could click OK. And it's going to take a moment to save the preset library. Okay. Now it's back to this screen. Now suppose I had done that work and I don't ever want to do that work again. I just want to be able to select the library every time I go in. I can click Save As, and I can add another preset image library. I can say DirecTV Dallas. Now the advantage to this is I can create a specific DirecTV file that saves all those local channel numbers that I just entered. I could also go in and say Verizon Fios, which they don't have a preset library for. I could create one by entering all the channel numbers with the appropriate channel icons, and then save that so I never have to do it again. So I'm going to click OK, and now it's saved it. Click OK again, and back out of the properties. So now my preset library is already set up. Now for this device, I'm also going to select which inputs that device is plugged into. Now on this, I'm assuming that my all my sources are plugged into the receiver, and the receiver is going to handle the video switching. So for the display input, I'm simply going to select input 6, because that would be HDMI 1 on a Sony TV. For the theater input, I'm going to tell it which input it's going to on the receiver. In this case, main input satellite. And then for my zone 2, I'm going to scroll down to the zone 2 inputs and select zone 2 input satellite. Okay, now I'm done with that. I'm going to add another device. Excuse me, jumping the gun there. Let me just delete that because I added the same device twice. Okay, so I'm going to select a new device, and I'm going to select a Sony Blu-ray player. A couple options. I have my BDP-X series, which is the Sony Blu-ray series. It's an IR driver. I'm going to add that to the system. I'm going to select the inputs it's going to. Input 6, because it's being routed through the receiver before it goes to the TV. Select the main input on the Denon receiver, and select the zone 2 input. Okay, there's no real properties to adjust on this because there's no preset library to add. So I'm going to add one more device to my system. I'm going to add a Crestron iPod dock. So I find my Crestron, and they only have one device available, my PI Dock V, which is my Crestron iPod dock. So I'm going to click Add to the System. Okay, now I don't want the TV to turn on when I select this because there's no reason for it to do. So I'm not going to select display input. But I am going to select the input it goes to on the receiver, main input CD, and the second zone input, zone 2 input CD. Okay, now I've added all my sources. We're going to go to the next screen, and we're going to pick this up in the third part of this series.